So, Lori, the question that I want to pose to you is how do we make the speculators on imprisonment, how do we make their speculation a losing proposition?
Well, I think first, like you said,
I'm sorry to ask the
that
question.
that's no, that's fine. I think, like you said, I think we have to do what we need to do in the communities to stay out of jail,
Mhm.
and we need to support the people at an early age, so that when we have youth that are on the path to not getting the proper education, we have to do the things that we need to do in order to support that. And whether that means educating at home or it means making sure that the educational system works the way it's supposed to, then
Mhm.
I think we need to have those types of protests.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's a
I'd
larger
like
problem.
I'd like to see them build prisons that are unoccupied, and of course that's a long way off. But there are other things that I think that we can do in the interim. For instance, we talk about the fact that the wealth is being generated by a very small group of people. Why is it that we don't have black farmers providing the food for the prisoners? Or even in the neighborhoods in urban communities, perhaps the people in the urban communities can learn a trade and make the clothing or other things that are needed in the community. So what happens is people are going to be in jail. People are going to do wrong. There's not going to be that utopian society that we talked about. It has never existed. It will not exist. But it seems as if there's a certain small segment of the population benefiting from the despair of the other sections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we should jump on the bandwagon and be entrepreneurs at our own demise. However, it's unfortunate that these people that are come from these communities that are disenfranchised can't get a skill to support that captive population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, I think, that one of the reasons why we have the problem of recidivism, people returning to jail, is because even after people leave jail, they don't have an opportunity to, pick up a job or to do something that'll keep them out of jail. Maybe if we had people within our own community, like you said, that had businesses that could employ people. I mean, if somebody can do something when they're in jail, they can do something when they're out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at a certain point, it becomes a situation where you can actually have somebody who's already trained while you're doing something altruistic by giving them an opportunity once they come out.
But in the past, when we were, if you will, a subjugated people in this country, we had a sense of community. We had a sense of being, let's say, a brother's keeper. And we would, okay, that brother did bad or that sister did bad. They came out. There was a support mechanism in place, so to speak, to assist that person in the past. We don't have that anymore because we don't have that sense of community or that love for a fellow brother and sister, if you will.
Yeah, and that's kind of a lack of culture, because part of the African culture was the theory that the good of the whole is as important as the
It's
good
good
of
of
the
the,
individual.
yes,
So
ma'am.
you're constantly looking to help the extended family, and extended family meaning those individuals who are not necessarily your blood relatives, but people that you consider a part of your general community. You would look out for them the way you would look out for a family member. And that's something that's missing from our society, but it's probably missing not necessarily by design, but by omission, because our culture has been stripped from us for a very long time.
Yeah, I would agree to some respect. But I do think that we can't paint African culture or any culture with a broad brush. You would be surprised the level of cohesiveness or the level of extended family concept that actually, in fact, goes on. Where if someone is incarcerated, I mean, you have cousins, uncles, brothers taking in the children for years and years and years, exemplifying the type of cultural background and grounding that you talked about, even though maybe they don't know it's from the culture, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
they're engaged in the behavior, and that counts as well. Also, we talk about the level of recidivism. Some folks don't want to be out, and we have to kind of realize that that's true. Um, in in free society, there's an enormous burden on individuals. You have to make 1,000 decisions a day, and each one of those decisions could adversely affect your future. When you're in jail, there's not a lot of decisions to be made. They tell you when to get up, what to wear, what to eat, where to go, when to come back, and so on and so forth. And we have to deal with the believers. That was always my saying, is that we have to deal with the believers. We want to make sure that the people that we want to extend these services to are people who actually want to change that paradigm. And you would be surprised that there are a lot of people that are okay with recidivism, okay with going upstate, because that's where all their buddies are, and they don't have to make those decisions. They have their 3 hots in a cot, and we have to kind of not squander our limited resources, for lack of a better word, squander our limited resources on those individuals.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I remember talking to a brother one time who had come out of jail, and he was mentioning the fact that he had a birthday that after he came out of jail, and his family, his daughter and his family were singing happy birthday to him, and he said he felt so uncomfortable because he didn't know what to do. And it was strange to hear someone say that they didn't know how to react with someone just, with a group of people just singing them happy birthday. But like you said, that was specifically his issue. He said he had been in jail for so long that he wasn't used to the normal, so to speak, behavior that occurs during birthday celebrations and things of that nature. The only thing that I have a problem with is that is a pattern that has developed because of a lot of the outside influences, not whether it's, by choice, individuals who continuously return to jail because they feel like they're at home there, or because they were originally not given the opportunity to become educated so that they could stay out of there to begin with.
Yeah, I heard someone say today that we have the access to the most information as we've ever had as a human race, but we're less knowledgeable, we're less wise. And it's true. I think that to some degree, life is about choices. And the choices that you make are limited by the poor choices that you engage in. So you talk about somebody who, feels uncomfortable or feel that he or she doesn't have a place back in society. You have to realize that, number one, being incarcerated will limit your options when you come out. So you have to make that decision when you do, if you do what they say you did, to get in there. But if you engage in that behavior, then you have to understand that there's going to be ramifications far beyond that act, and it may affect you and diminish your ability to really actualize your full potential. That's a reality, and we have to deal with that. So what we have to, in my humble opinion, I think we have to concentrate on the mindset for individuals at a very young age to see themselves in a more expansive reality. Beyond the projects, beyond those kind of things that are negative. I don't want this to be a conversation about our pathology, because CNN already does that. You know what I mean? They have an hour, 2-hour show about what's not right about us. So I want to kind of, if it's all possible, just look at some of the things that, we can do to accentuate the positive. Because what happens when we talk about it, they talk about it, who's going to talk the good?
Well, but you have to examine that part of it in order to get to the solution, don't you?
Oh, no, I absolutely. I'm not saying that to negate it or dismiss it, but I'm saying that we all agree, we're in consensus that there's a problem. Next, let's move to the solution. We spend a disproportionate amount of time, in my humble opinion, talking about the problematic issues that we do, talking about what are some of the minuscule solutions to create a better condition.
But if you bring up some of the negatives, okay, and I agree with you, mind you, because in your humble opinion, but your grand opinion, I agree with you. But at the same token, I think that there might be people out there who are watching the show who might not even think that they're doing something negative. And it's like you're bringing that to their attention. It's like, wow, I never really realized that I was doing something wrong. Maybe I might change my direction or my path or my behavior.
Or they may not even realize that they're being taken advantage of. I think that's a major problem within our community. I mean, there's a few topics that we've had on this show in the past where it's targeting the black community, and I'm almost positive that a majority of the black community doesn't realize that they're not only being taken advantage of, but they're being targeted specifically. One of the things we talked about were the payday loans. Where they're actually going specifically, it's affecting black communities because we're usually the people that have the issues of, living from paycheck to paycheck. But they're targeting black communities, and individuals don't realize, they're thinking this is a benefit that they get. This is a service that I get. Wow, this is terrific. But they don't realize that these people are being charged 400% interest, on these loans, and corporations are making so much money off of this that this is what's helping fund the banks that are now able to pay back all of the TARP money. It's the same situation that you have with the prison system. A lot of people may not understand the fact that this is not only big business in the area of having cheap labor while somebody's in there, but it's also the people who supply these prisons, you know, with uniforms and with food and, you know, beds and all. These people are making millions and millions of dollars at your expense. So while you may think, okay, well, I'm just going into, you know, jail, hanging out, you know, with my buddies, you're actually supporting a system that is, you know, to your detriment and to the detriment of your people.
And quite frankly, if you will, that community as well, that prison is in. Because they all supply jobs from that institution.
Well, thankfully, I think that payday loans is not a felony or misdemeanor now, because a lot of us would be locked up for the payday loan. So I understand what you're saying about people being taken advantage of. But, you know, a lot of that goes back to those renter centers and so on and so forth. We have a misconception of what, in fact, you know, our needs are. We get our needs confused with our wants, you know, and we want I heard a guy on TV recently, he says, oh, I paid $180 for a pair of Jordans and they were on sale. You know, I could get a suit, a tie, a steak dinner, you know, where I shop for it. But he believed that he needed those Jordans in order to validate himself. So a lot of it goes, I believe that a lot of it has to kind of be before the prison door, before we go into the prison door, because you're diminished. That's the way society is. You know, you can say that I've done my time, but you always have to live with the time that you've done. You know, you never escape that reality.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the things that need to be done before you get to the prison door, and that goes to the area of education. What type of education, or what do we need to do, whether it's with the education system, the formal education system, or the informal, meaning at home, community?
Yes.
What do we need to do in order to prevent individuals from falling into the trap of being
Coin a
in
phrase
jail?
from back in the day, tricknology. And that's exactly what I think we are victims of in this day and age. And I think that, to answer your question, we have to become more aware of what this, of course, what's going on in our society and our surroundings. The education has to start in the home. We have to be, you know, bring the black man back into the home, be in touch with their kids, educate their kids, and have a cultural foundation.
What do you mean by cultural foundation?
Embrace Africa. Terry, you want to elaborate on that, sir?
Well, I will say, I would agree with you that absolutely it has to start we talked about starting well before the prison doors. It has to start well before the school bell rings also when you talk about education. But like I said, I think that the children of color, and everyone, should see themselves in a more expansive way. Now, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult because the parents are younger, they're less informed. In many instances, they come from fractionated homes, which is not the death knell, but certainly it means that you have to step up to a higher level. If you're a single parent, then you have to do 2 jobs. You can't do a half a job.
But that's nothing new to our community, man.
Well, it is new to our community in the numbers that we see. You know, absolutely, it's nothing. It's always happened. You know,
Right.
Master went into the woodshed, and
Right.
we've always had that.
And we've overcome all of those obstacles in the past. The bottom line is, how is it that we have foregone education and embraced, let's say, the negative influences out there, and we've embraced that.
Well,
and like, for example, going to jail has become a rites of passage for young black youth, or young youth, people of color, Hispanics as well. How is that the rites of passage for them, as opposed to going to school? You know, oh, it's too hard to do that. Oh, jail is nothing.
well, jail is, from what I understand.
But when they go, then they realize that it is something.
From what I understand, I'd rather not be there.
Well, that's you and I, because, you know, well, we know better. But you know as well as I do, and Lori as well, we know people who don't mind. Hey, listen, that's nothing. I'll go and do that little year or 2, and that, like you said, that's time out of your life you can't get back.